President, but my name is Passacantilli, and I'm running for District 1 City Council, which is East Boston in its entirety, Charlestown in its entirety, and the North End. So it's basically 3 whole neighborhoods. And I am a lifelong resident of this neighborhood. I was born on Hanover Street. I still live in the building I was born and raised in. And I'm raising my 2 children there now. They're both Boston Public School students. My son is a sophomore at Boston Lions School. My daughter is a 3rd grader at the Elliott School. I am running for a lot of reasons, and that's always the $1 million question. Say, hey, why are you running? It was a bit of a difficult decision, and the only reason it was a difficult decision was because I have a young family and I have a wife who was really apolitical, so she, I just wanted her to be comfortable with my decision. And once I got the green light, she's really the boss. Once I got the green light from my wife, I was prepared and I was ready to take on this campaign. And the reason is because I love this neighborhood and I love this city, and if I was ever not going, I would have been long gone. Things have changed since I was a kid, and I am here and I'm here to stay. I'm here to raise my family, and I want what's best for my children. When I had kids, my whole perspective on life changed. That's why I got involved with the neighborhood council. That's why I'm on the board for the North End Against Drugs. That's why I helped start the North End Beautification Committee. You know, I'm really committed to the city as a whole, but really this is my home, and I love this place tremendously. And it means a lot to me. I know there are some big overarching issues going on in the city of Boston. I see the district city councilor's job as really a constituent services, nuts and bolts based job. And what I love about public service and what I love about going to City Hall every day is that those very small issues, those very things that you think may not be a big deal, whether it's filling a pothole or getting a senior handicap parking space, or whether it's trimming a tree, whether it's getting the baseball field ready for the kids to play Little League, whether it's coming to the Mazzaro Center and participating in some community activities. Those are the things that I hold near and dear. Those are the things that I enjoy doing. I know we have obviously manifested and evolved over the course of time. I am well aware of the issues that are going on in this neighborhood in particular. In every neighborhood, what I'm learning, and the experience so far, 6 weeks, has been a very eye-opening experience. I'm knocking on doors in all the neighborhoods, and I'm talking to people in all the neighborhoods, and I think people are at a point where they are seeing this massive change in the city, and it's, I think, and I know a lot of you, I think sometimes the picture is painted of me as a City Hall guy who works for, the local elected, who works for the mayor. I think things maybe need to slow down a little bit. I think we're moving at a very fast pace right now in Boston. I think that we have a lot of good things going on. I just think things are happening too fast. I think that we don't have infrastructure that can handle what is going on right now. I'm not saying that I am pro-development or anti-development. What I'm saying is that, I think when you do take a look at things on a local level, and this is what this job is, it's a very local job. It's a job where I will represent people from the 3 neighborhoods, East Boston, Charlestown, and North End. So I no longer am a City Hall guy that looks at the big picture. I am going to be looking at the very small picture of District 1. And my concerns are traffic, my concerns are parking, my concerns are making sure that every kid in our district can go to a good school close to their home. I don't think kids from East Boston should be getting on a bus and driving to Charlestown to go to middle school. I think our kids should be eating a fresh lunch every day. I think that schools and our open space, those are top priorities of mine. And There's an awful lot going on, and you know, I did this last night, and I'm like drawing a blank. I gave a 22-minute speech in East Boston. I'm a little burnt. But, you know, I'm going to give you my top 3 issues. My top 3 issues are local schools, good quality schools close to home, local schools, neighborhood schools, fresh lunch for our kids. There's a pilot program going on in East Boston right now, where East Boston High School is the hub, and they are cooking fresh lunches at the high school, and they're distributing to 3 other schools in East Boston. I think that should be something that is in every school. After-school sports should be it shouldn't be a luxury. It should be something that we do all the time. I think that we need to do an extensive transportation plan in the district, especially East Boston, the North End, and Charlestown. North Washington Street Bridge is in the pipeline. One Charlestown is in the pipeline, a huge project in Charlestown. I'm talking about 2,800 units. We have tons of work going on in North Station right now. And everything is it's almost like this perfect storm where everything is happening all at once. And I feel that we are like in the epicenter. And when I say we, I mean the North End and in Charlestown as well. East Boston, I know I'm in the North End right now, but East Boston is going through a tremendous amount of change as well. Lots of development on down in Jeffries Point. So all these schools close to home, extensive transportation plan. I'd like to see the city keep moving in the direction it's moving with our open space. I think we should have a park system that's the best in the country. I think we're moving in the right direction. We're very fortunate in the North End. We have Christopher Columbus Park. Probably, I've worked throughout the city of Boston, the best friends group in the city by a mile. And the work we do down there is unbelievable. I am a huge fan of the friends groups, private-public partnerships. I think it's a good formula. I think what they do in Downtown Crossing is with the bid is a very good product, and I think those are things that we should be looking into as a neighborhood. We should be looking into teaming up with businesses and building a strong chamber of commerce, a strong business alliance, and having having a bid that is going to supplement some of the city services. And I'm committed to the neighborhood. I'm committed to the city. Like I said, I am not. There's no plan for me to leave. My daughter's 9 years old. I'm here. Next time I leave here, it's going to be hopefully when the big guy calls me. There's nowhere else I want to be. If I was going to leave, I would have left a long time ago. I love this place. I know I'm all over the place right now. I just went to 17 different events tonight over in Charlestown, but I'm obviously open to take questions. I'm sure that's what is going to happen. So if anyone has a specific question, I will give a specific answer. And I apologize for that wasn't my best. I'm sorry. I'm pretty comfortable in this room. I know most of you.
Questions? Some questions? Stephen?
Yes, sir.
I like everything you say, and yet there was a rumor that you were not supporting the neighborhood in terms of the hotel project. Was that wrong? Was that
Well, that's why they're called rumors. I'm glad you asked that question. Couple things. When you, and that's why I mentioned earlier, when you work in the mayor's office and you look at things a little differently, things are more overarching. And when you start a campaign in a district race, issues are more micro. In Charlestown, Charlestown is a huge deal. Lewis Wharf, I'm assuming you're talking about the hotel project on Lewis Wharf. From my understanding is there was a favorable agreement in terms of that. Yes, it can be built on. I was not pro-hotel or anti-hotel. I was just watching the process play out. In this business, in public service, when you work for an elected official like I have over the last 12 years, I worked for Sal and then I worked for the mayor. I don't really get to say what I really feel. I have internal conversations with my superiors or with the mayor at the time or with Sal at the time, and I give them my opinion. I can tell you that looking at it from a mile away, you have every single resident on the wharf, on the waterfront in opposition. how would I, as an elected official, support something that my constituents are in opposition? I would have never in a million years have supported that project as an elected official. So if anyone has told you otherwise, it's misinformation. I mean, I can give you examples, and you know, working in operations for BTD was a little different. It was more hands-on. When I worked in the mayor's office during transition, it was different. I was working more hand in hand with the cabinet. There were issues in East Boston. I mean, take a walk down Addison Street in East Boston and ask the folks on Addison Street if I stood by the residents. Ask the residents on Culper Street in East Boston. They wanted to build 40 units on Culper Street. I was adamantly opposed, and I helped the residents, you know, pretty much organize and sat them down with folks in City Hall and resolve. I resolved some big problems. I mean, Pete, what I'm not a big fan of, and I will say this, I see what's happening. Someone comes into the city, they buy a lot of land that is zoned for 6 units, and they want to build 60. And I'm a public servant. I don't sympathize with people who overpay for property. I don't care if they can make money only if this many units are built. It's not my concern. I go to work. I'm not going to get rich doing this. This is what I do. I'm a public servant, and I love giving back to the neighborhood. I love giving back to the city. I will never compromise my neighborhood. I will never compromise this district if I'm elected. If people are adamantly in opposition of something, then I'm adamantly in opposition, and I think most people in here know me. I'm very passionate. I'm not afraid of anybody. No one tells me what to do. No one pushes me around. The only people that will tell me what to do are the people that are sitting in here, the people that I will be representing, and that's pretty much, that's it. That's who I am. And like I said, when you work for an elected, it's completely different. I've had many intense conversations with Mayor Walsh when I worked for him, and I had many intense conversations with Sal when I worked for Sal. And you can ask for both of them. But absolutely would never have supported that hotel. I wouldn't have. It would have been political suicide. You're going to be completely insane to support something where, I mean, there was thousands of people in opposition.
I have a question. I think the counselor is very important for the North End, because I think it was Mike Nazaro who kind of saved the North End from becoming like another New York. And he stood up to the powers that be. And I think that that's what we need in our representative and our councilors.
Well, I am, my grandfather served 11 terms on Boston City Council. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. And if you lived in this neighborhood or in this city, you probably know who my grandfather was. And he was one of those guys that did a lot of screaming and yelling, a lot of banging on tables, and had zero tolerance, and was always a guy. My grandfather was Freddie Langone, and I like to think I'm a lot like him, although the days of that school of government are over. I wish they still existed. You can get a little more rambunctious, but you know, cooler heads have to prevail these days. Like I said, I love this. I wouldn't be raising my kids here if I thought this was a place that was moving in the wrong direction. I wouldn't compromise the neighborhood or the district. I'm here, I'm invested. I don't own property, I pay rent, okay? I live check to check. My wife is a waitress, she works at 2 restaurants. I grind it out, and I would never ever compromise this district at any cost, for anything. I'm here with my kids, and we're here, and I'm not going anywhere. If I'm not successful in this campaign, I'm still not going anywhere. I'm going to be at 406 Hanover Street probably for the next 20 years. Dave?
Might have asked you about 2 topics. Is that one?
I had 3 of them.
I'll start with the first one. I feel like the neighborhood is somewhat under siege with all the digging and construction, and maybe some of its development, of course, at the same time. Any ideas to see if there's, for anything that's not emergency related, any ideas to somehow stagger that work so it's not all going on at the same time? Although keeping in mind the factor that in the winter time, obviously there's only so much work you can do because of the weather.
So, I drive in my car in this neighborhood just like most of us. I walk through this neighborhood just like most of us, and I see exactly what you see. It took me 40 minutes to get to Charlestown last week. I had an event at the Knights of Columbus in Charlestown, and it took me, I timed it actually, it was like 37 minutes. Last Friday, I was at the Whole Foods in Charlestown. I parked in the Whole Foods parking lot, and I had knocking on doors in Charlestown. I had to be back to the Fairmont Battery Wharf, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, for St. John's event. And I got in the car, I pulled out of Whole Foods, I looked at Rutherford Ave, I turned around, I parked on Main Street, and I walked. I walked home. And I saw someone in Charleston I knew, he said, "You want to ride?" I'm heading over to the event too. I said, "I'm walking." And I beat him. I beat him. It was complete gridlock. It was a Friday afternoon, complete gridlock. And I understand that we have the Connect Historic Boston project going on, which I was optimistic about when the plans were rolled out, and now I'm cautiously optimistic about. I don't want to make I don't want to take an opinion or a stance on that yet, because when the project is finished, we'll see how effective it is. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me right now. I don't know who did the math when they were measuring the travel lanes as opposed to the cycle tracks. I just think there should have been more space for the travel lanes. I know that Water and Sewer is in here doing a lot of work, doing a lot of digging. I can say this. I would rather them do the work now. And I think Chris Osgood said this in the article. It's like if we pieced it off, it would take us a lot longer as opposed to doing it the way we're doing it now. It is inconvenient, but I will make one statement. Last year, when I first started working for economic development, I do a lot of stuff with small businesses when I was there. There was a water main break on Washington Street in Chinatown, and like the entire neighborhood was shut down. And 4 businesses were closed for about 2-3 weeks. And when they had the press conference, if you heard Commissioner Finn from the fire department, he said that the water line, I think it was 80 years old. And a lot of our infrastructure in the ground is very old, and I think it needs to be upgraded. And I would prefer them fix the utilities and the water lines and upgrade them as opposed to having something happening at 3:30 in the morning like it did in Chinatown. And so it is inconvenient. My understanding is the plan is to do this all as fast as we possibly can. Unfortunately, when you're doing work like that, if it rains, they can't work. When you get to a certain time of year, I think it's November 12th, I think 15th, they put a moratorium. You can't go on the ground unless it's an emergency or unless it's utility. And then you can start digging again in April. So it stinks. There's not even an easy answer for that. It's inconvenient. You can't get from point A to point B in a timely manner. It's terrible. And then we have street cleaning, right? And now you can't park on Fleet Street. Today you can park on Fleet. You can't park down on Commercial Street because there's cones and construction equipment all over the place. So I completely sympathize. Completely. I live it. I mean, I live here with you guys. It's not like... the best $220 I pay a month is my parking space. And I really can't afford it. And that's a pretty good deal, actually.
We're going to have to questions now because we also are in a facility that's going to start flashing lights on us at a certain point at the Charlestown Bridge. But Stephen, I'm going to ask you if you would kind of give a closing summary for us.
I would obviously like everyone in this room to vote for me. I know some of you will. I'm looking at some who already said they're going to vote for me. And I know some of you won't, and that's okay. It's America, it's a democracy, and that's the beauty of living in this country. It's the greatest right in the world you have is to go into the voting booth and vote. Again, I'm committed to this neighborhood. I'm raising my kids here. I would never do anything to compromise this neighborhood ever. I want what's best for the people in this neighborhood. I want what's best for the kids in this neighborhood. Again, I want kids to get a great education and have access to quality schools close to their home. And I want our streets to be clean and safe. And in a nutshell, I am passionate about this neighborhood and about this district, but specifically this neighborhood. This is the neighborhood that, I am who I am because of my childhood in this neighborhood and coming of age in this neighborhood and being raised in this neighborhood. And I appreciate your time, and I would ask all of you humbly to vote for me on September 26th, and if I'm lucky enough to move on November 7th. Thank you.